Erika Jayne, cast member on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, right? Her husband, Tom Girardi, was a very powerful attorney here in Los Angeles. Erika Jayne was his third wife. Tale as old as time, big age gap, much younger than Tom Girardi. So it was kind of standard that she was like the trophy wife, the pretty blonde trophy wife. He was funding this music career that she wanted, which kind of seemed like a vanity project at the time, but like did start to pick up some momentum. She files for divorce on election day, interestingly enough, files for divorce from Tom Girardi in 2020. It then comes out, there's this attorney, Jay Edelson of Edelson PC, comes out and accuses her of orchestrating a sham divorce, presumably to hide assets. Then it comes out that there are clients that have not been paid by Tom Girardi. There are these these families who lost loved ones in a plane crash. There is this, gas explosion that injured this man named Joe Rui Gomez. And so they're claiming that they're owed payments by Tom Girardi. Everybody suddenly starts to come out and claiming that Tom Girardi owes them money. Was an ongoing saga. Erika's like, holy shit, I didn't know anything about what my husband was doing. I didn't realize that the money that he was collecting was money that was not entitled to him. I didn't know, but also we kind of like wait and need to see this legal process play out before we even know what happened. But this was all seemingly unbeknownst to her. And she's like, listen, my life was lived off of an Amex. He gave me an Amex, and that's how I lived my life. The bills went to his office. His CFO is the one that covered all of the bills. I didn't know how they were paying the bills or what they were doing. I just assumed that they were handling things because that's what I did. Again, trophy wife number 3, you're not asking too many questions about where your older husband is making his money when presumably he is very wealthy and very successful, right? He's got a gorgeous, estate in Pasadena. He's winning all these awards. He's on the cover of magazines. He, knows a lot of very wealthy people and a lot of very notable people, powerful people. Why would you assume that, he's defrauding his clients? Lawsuits were coming up. She was asking questions. She claims he was shutting her down. Now, then fast forward to 2024, we have now seen that Tom Girardi has been convicted. His CFO, Christopher Camone, has pleaded guilty. And so they are both now facing the crimes that they committed all these years. And so we have even seen that the CFO, Christopher Camone, had multiple properties here in the US. He was presumably trying to flee the country. He just bought a property in the Bahamas. He was, in my opinion, liquidating assets to then flee to the Bahamas. Like, it was just one big hot mess. We also see that Tom Girardi was buying plastic surgery for judges. He bought Trisha A. Bigelow. I call her Gigolo Bigelow. He bought her a beach house in Santa Monica. He also bought her a new butt when he was cheating on Erika. So all these things came to light, right? Erika has never been charged with a crime. That was resolved. The Girardi case drama, for the most part, was resolved. There was money that Tom Girardi was paying. So with the Amex bill, just to clarify, like Erika said, she lived her life off of this Amex. The bills went to the office. The CFO was paying the bills. Now, over the course of, I believe, 12 years, there was an accumulation of $25-ish million that were spent. Again, over the course of 12 years. That's over a decade. This money was spent. Okay. It was spent on the Amex. The bills were being paid. Well, we now find out that in the tax returns, they were writing off these expenses because they were paying for it with the company money from Girardi Keese, and they were writing it off as loans. Girardi Keese was loaning money to Erika Jayne's LLC. That's how this was being written off on the books. So now the trustee is pursuing a trial against Erika, trying to get her to pay back that 25 mil. I've always said I think there's going to be a statute of limitations issue. They're also going to need to prove that these were loans. Like, it's going to get messy, and we're going to have to see how that plays out in court. But there's this other case with Marco Marco. Now, who is Marco Marco? Marco Marco is this designer. I believe there are two. Marco Marco is the company, but there are two. There's Marco, and then there's Chris. Celia, I believe is how you pronounce it. But so anyway, there are two founders, Marco Morante and Christopher Celia. They're the two that are suing Erika Jayne. So they are costume designers or outfit designers, I don't know, fashion designers from the company Marco Marco. They're claiming that Erika Jayne committed credit card fraud, and then had her Secret Service agents. There's this big conspiracy that she called up the Secret Service and had them come and arrest them and all this stuff. Were they was I believe Christopher, was he arrested? Yes, he was arrested. And so let's explain what happened there. Again, I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm just going to kind of give it to you as openly and objectively. I've always disclosed that since I began covering the Gerardi stuff back in 2020, Erika Jayne and I have, built a friendly relationship. I was just with her in New York. I went to go support her on Broadway. She was Roxy Hart in Chicago. She's been on this podcast before. We've been very friendly. No secret there, right? It is hard when I have to talk about these things, but it is what it is. But when it comes to the Marco Marco case specifically, so they were designing outfits for Erika Jayne's performances. And they, trust me, let's be very clear, they are very successful fashion designers. Their client list includes Britney Spears, it includes Katy Perry. Like, they have a number of high profile clients. Now, to my understanding, they were running up the Amex bill, and I believe the Amex bill reached about $800,000. Okay. Now, there were no invoices that were ever being given for these expenses. They were kind of just running up the Amex left and right. Erika then said, hold on, you need to provide some invoices for these charges. Like, these are some astronomical charges. $800,000 is a lot for, some outfits that you're going to be performing in on stage, right? It's a lot of money. And I don't know if she had Britney Spears money or Katy Perry money, but that's a lot of money. So they were then not able to provide invoices, and then ended up openly admitting in an email that they did overcharge her. And they're like, we think we may have overcharged you about $100,000. Okay. That's a lot of money to be overcharged. Think about it. If you're overcharged $20 on your credit card, you're not going to dispute that with your bank. You're not going to be like, hold on, that's a fraudulent charge. So that's exactly what happened. She ended up calling American Express and saying, hey, these are fraudulent charges. Ultimately, she did end up sitting down with the two designers, and they admitted to overcharging her. Now, this is not $20. This is not $50. This is not $500. This is not $2,000. They openly admitted to overcharging her about $100,000. That's a lot of money to accidentally do, to say, oops, sorry, whoa, yeah, exactly. So that's why these details matter, because we see the Marco Marco guys, and they're in the latest Hulu documentary about the Gerardi case, which is so interesting that the case is about Tom Gerardi and Gerardi Keys, but you don't really hear much about Christopher Camone, and the entire documentary is focused on Erika Jayne, who's his wife. I get it. You need the clickbait. You want people to tune in for it, right? But so you put the two gays on camera, and they're like, tell us your sad story. And of course, the gays are going to work up the waterworks. They're working up the waterworks, right? They're doing all the things, and they're like, oh my God, she ruined my life. I'm like, your clients are Katy Perry and Britney Spears, and you're telling me the Real Housewife is the one that ruined your life? Because I don't know, last time I checked, your business seems to be doing a-okay, right? Let's actually give them some credit. They want some attention and some love. Here you go. Marco squared, Marco Marco. Oh, he goes by he him pronouns. Good for him. Multi-material artist and maker, 2-time award-winning costume designer. Still has an agency. Here's their website, and they show a number of their very impressive costumes. Like, I will give them that. Very creative, very impressive. They do good work. Not going to deny that or take that credit away from them. Seems like they do a lot of drag stars now. So I don't know. To me, they look like they're doing just fine. So when they say Erika Jayne ruined their lives, it's a little hard for me to believe, oh, okay, Erika, they were, yeah, see, Sharon says they were so dramatic in the documentary. Right. And like failed to forget that, like, oops, we overcharged her $100,000. Now they're suddenly claiming, actually, years later in 2025, they're claiming, actually, we can now verify all of the charges, which, how convenient, right? Years later, when you're now pursuing litigation, now suddenly, like, what are you going to nickel and dime and make sure my time is charged appropriately and all this stuff? Now suddenly, suddenly we were able to verify all the charges now that we're pursuing litigation against her, which I also found interesting. They're pursuing litigation against her after all of the Gerardi drama took place. And let's also be very clear, because they're claiming that Erika harmed their lives, right? Chris and Marco are suing Erika individually, right? So they have 2 active lawsuits against her. This is a Marco lawsuit, but each of the Marco guys is suing her separately in 2 separate states. If you can afford 2 separate lawsuits in 2 separate states, one that sounds like a legal strategy, and 2 that sounds like you are doing just fine if you can each finance your own lawsuit against Erika. Wait, she should be suing them. Well, so what ended up happening is they admitted it in an email that they overcharged her, and then they also admitted it in a face-to-face meeting with her. Now, they didn't realize that face-to-face meeting, Erika was wearing a wire. And so because they admitted this on mic, while they were meeting with her, it's on the wire, because they admitted this on record. I believe Christopher was the one that was arrested. One of them got arrested, and they were like, "Oh my god, I had to spend the night in jail." So do people that get a DUI. So it's just, and not to diminish it, and not to diminish the experience, and like that's terrible that they had to spend a night in jail, and that they're fighting this. And I do have some level of empathy, and this may have been an overreach, right? They're claiming that she was colluding with the Secret Service to go and do this. Her story is that, like, yeah, I called somebody that I happen to know that has some authority, and they were able to help me, pursue litigation against this guy, or hold him accountable for overcharging me. Now, I will say this. I don't know if she's going to get out of this fully clean, because at some point, whatever the amount was, there were goods and services that were provided to Erika and were charged to her Amex. And I believe at some point she's going to have to pay them something. Unfortunately, I don't love that for her, but that's just kind of the reality. I think that, as much as I know she has the evidence on her side in terms of the overcharging of 100,000, but if they're only able to prove that 100,000 was overcharged, then what about the remaining, 700-ish thousand? I think the sketchy piece is the invoices all these years later that can suddenly, substantiate every single charge. I think that's kind of fishy for me. I don't know what the statute of limitations issues are on this, but Susan says, "What BS? They screwed up billing. They have to eat the loss." Sorry. Well, it's also just like, how do you just continue to charge somebody up to nearly $1 million and then be like, "Oops, we accidentally overcharged you 100 grand"? Like, that's just insane. And also, how do you not have proper accounting where you're keeping track of all these expenses? Again, you have high profile clients, or is it that you have high profile clients that you can get away with stuff like this, because they're not going to look at any of it? Let's see. So there's that. But then let's talk about Mr. Ronald Richards, aka Ronald McDonald, who posted this tweet. And Ron loves to do this stuff, right? Ron Richards tweeted out, "Erika Gerardi is facing a default in Marco Morante's Florida case." Because remember, Marco is suing her in Florida, Chris is suing her in California. 2 active lawsuits. Strange, whatever. He's one of the founders of Marco. Christopher Sala is suing her in California. This arises out of a failed Secret Service case against Sala. And then he references her widely reported benefactor. Again, so what he likes to do is he likes to use a lot of hyperbole, and he likes to put a lot of sauce on this. Who is Ronald Richards? I like to call him Ronald McDonald because I think he's a clown. And I know he doesn't like when I call him that. So sorry, Ron, if you're seeing this. I don't mean to call you Ronald McDonald, but I like to call you Ronald McDonald when you act like a clown. Okay. So he likes to do a lot of this hyperbole, sensationalism. Let me spice it up and get the media all fired up, and then they quote me as a source. First of all, I don't know if he's a legitimate source. Who is Ronald Richards? Ronald Richards is, in my opinion, an ambulance chaser, and he likes to attach himself to celebrity cases and tweet a lot of hyperbole so that people will follow him and trust him as some sort of authority in the case. Is he an attorney? Sure. Has he threatened me? Yes, because he doesn't like my coverage of him. He's a strange character. I've tried a number of times to, be in good graces with Ronald Richards, but I will continue to call out his ridiculous behavior. And this is another example of it. So what is facing a default? So here he's basically saying that Erika in the Florida case did not file a motion to dismiss. And because she didn't file a motion to dismiss, the case will likely default and move forward because there was no motion to dismiss. Okay. As we've learned with the Blake and Baldoni stuff, with Blake, with Baldoni, we're seeing these motions to dismiss. And we're also learning that a lot of, motions to dismiss don't ever move forward. It's kind of just a legal procedure. It kind of delays things, as we're seeing with Blake Lively and Jed Wallace, and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and their motions to dismiss, Leslie Sloan's motion to dismiss, all of that, right? We're seeing that motions to dismiss are very standard, but they're not, you often don't win a motion to dismiss. So what he's saying is that she didn't file her motion to dismiss in Florida, so the case is automatically going to move forward. Is that true? Sure. Is that standard? Yeah. Was she likely going to win a motion to dismiss? Probably not. It's very hard to win a motion to dismiss. Very rarely happens. It's standard, but it's just moving forward. Someone, Yanni says, it's default judgment because Erika's attorney effed up on something. No, he didn't F up on something. He just didn't file a motion to dismiss. Why? I don't know. Maybe they decided not to. Again, I'm not Erika's attorney. I'm not Erika. I don't speak to her about her legal matters. Keep my work and her personal legal drama separate, right? So, no, her lawyer didn't screw up. We don't know why he didn't file a motion to dismiss. You don't have to file a motion to dismiss. But again, this is what Ronald Richards does, is he makes it seem like this little benign piece of information is so much bigger than it actually is. Look, here you go. Jordan says, Ask Two Lawyers said that it's a legal strategy to not file because you don't want to show all your cards to the other party. Possibly, again, possibly a legal strategy. Hey, Zack, popping on to show your support. Thank you, Ray. So yeah, it's actually very standard. I would trust the Ask Two Lawyers guys way more than I would trust the ambulance chaser Ronald McDonald. He's a clown. And here, you want to know what makes him even more of a clown and less reputable? Let's talk about this for a second and his obsession with Erika. So who is this woman? Actually, who was that in the live chat that was like, oh, Yanni. Hey, Yanni. Hey, girl. Why don't we talk about this woman right here? Who's this woman? Lauren Boyetts Richards, Ronald Richards' wife. Why am I showing you this photo of her on a beach or her in front of the ocean with Chanel sunglasses on and these diamond earrings? Oh, yeah. These are Erika Jayne's diamond earrings that were put up for auction amid the Gerardi legal saga. Ronald Richards went and paid a discount price for Erika Jayne's diamond earrings and now has his wife cosplaying with them on Instagram. And that's not my accusation. Her caption on Instagram, and this is her public Instagram account, her Lauren Boyetts Richards says, I now see why you fought for these. And then she tags Erika Jayne. So they're essentially taunting her on Instagram. They are stunning. Should I have Gerardi removed? Hashtag Gerardi fraud, hashtag diamond earrings. You're going to tell me Ronald Richards is a credible source on anything related to Erika Jayne when his obsession with her has gone so deep that he has purchased her jewelry at a discount because it was purchased at auction and then has his wife parading them online? Like, you're going to tell me that's not creepy? And then they're going to taunt her with the earrings publicly on Instagram? So you're going to tell me Ronald Richards and his wife are credible people when this is the shit that they're pulling? So when they cover the Marco case, let's be very clear, it comes with a whole shit ton of bias because people want to say I'm biased. I'm disclosing that I have a friendship with Erika now. It was developed over the course of time, but there is a friendship now. And I'm still going to say when it comes to the Marco case, I don't know if she's going to fully win that. And there are 2 lawsuits against her with that. So even if she doesn't win one, like, I don't know. I'm not fully confident. But again, I'm not her attorney. I can only cover it from my layman's perspective. But so, yeah, let's not talk about Ronald Richards being all that credible when this is the shit he does. It's gross. It's creepy. It's weird. It's weird. Tell me I'm crazy. It's fucking creepy. So yeah. Zach, have you ever thought about going to law school? I mean, I don't know. I don't think you have to go to law school anymore. I think if you like intern, like you can take the bar without having to go to law school in California. So I don't know. Yeah, Jordan said it's giving stalker. Yeah, and you know what's even weirder? What's even creepier? Let me see if I have this. Give me 1 second. There was an episode from August where Ronald Richards went on So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. And he likes to go on these podcasts often. And, podcasters will give him a platform to peddle his bullshit. And it is what it is. But so Ronald Richards went on So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey back in August of last year, August 2024. And the interesting thing is he was talking about Erika and the earrings. And the way he spoke about the earrings and the buyer, he made it seem like this was an ambiguous, unknown buyer that came into the auction and purchased the earrings. And he's like, and I don't think that buyer will ever give up the earrings. The owner of the earrings now is never going to give up those earrings. And I was like, why is he talking about the owner as if he's not the one that purchased these earrings? And I text Ryan and I reached out to Ryan that week. And I was like, dude, you just had on Ronald Richards. He's literally on your podcast. Like, you're giving this man a platform to talk about this anonymous buyer of these earrings when he's literally the one that purchased the earrings. I believe he purchased them for like 200 grand or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but he purchased them at a significant discount outside of peddling conspiracies that Erika had a secret second pair of earrings. That's what he was alluding to, but he likes to lean into a lot of that speculation. And this is what he does, but he doesn't disclose things like this, which again, to me is creepy that you're going to have your wife cosplay as this woman that you can't stop talking about. Could you imagine how creepy it would be of me to, I don't know, buy Blake Lively's dress from A Simple Favor, or yeah, and then put it on my significant other and then post a photo of him wearing Blake Lively's dress on Instagram? That would be creepy, right? That would be weird. That would also make it seem like I may have a creepy obsession with Blake Lively, which I don't. I'm just covering the legal drama with her and Justin Baldoni. This shit with the earrings is fucking weird and creepy. I don't know if he has some pretty mess outfits that he makes Lauren dress up in as well. It's creepy. It's weird. And as Ryan Reynolds disclosed in his motion to dismiss, we're allowed to have opinions. That's my opinion. It's fucking weird. His wife must feel special getting secondhand earrings from his husband. Not only are they secondhand earrings, but they say Gerardi on them. They have Erika's name engraved on them. Yanni says, ew, please. I don't even want to imagine them doing things. That's what they're doing. What did Ryan respond? Oh, well, I won't read his text messages because that's private. But like, he was basically like, oh, I didn't know. He's like, can I? And I gave him all the information, and I was like, listen, here's all the accurate information about the earrings. And he's like, am I allowed? Do I have your permission to share this on the show? And I was like, sure. To my knowledge, he didn't share any of those details on his show after I shared the details with him in August. So listen, it's his show. It's his choice. He can have on whoever he wants to have on. He can discuss whatever he wants to discuss, and he can disclose things or not. I don't know. He's a talented podcaster. He's a nice guy. So, but what he chooses to do with his show creatively is not up to me. Weirdo stalker vibe. Yeah, Ronald Richards is definitely giving stalker vibes. It's just, it's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's creepy. Okay. So that's the Marco stuff. Let's see. Is there anything else I left out about the Marco? Yeah, they have high profile clients. They seem to be doing well. 2 lawsuits in California and Florida. Yep, covered that. She may have to pay something. Yeah, I mean, she may end up having to pay something in the end if this does move forward. But again, the fact that each of these guys, Chris and Marco, are each suing her in 2 different states, it feels a bit retaliatory. They're clearly using the press to kind of get their narrative out there. They had a platform on Hulu to go and cry about how their lives have been ruined. Which, I don't want to negate, but they seem to be doing just fine, especially if they can afford to launch 2 different lawsuits against her individually. I think you guys are doing A-okay.